Next deformer is a morph deformer. We use morph deformer to create expressions of character, but before to apply this morph deformer we have to create some expression by using this add point morph option. Morph option is the advanced option, so I skip it for now and I jump to next option called shrink wrap. To create effect of shrink wrap, I first create a cube with some segment on it. And then after I create a sphere like this and change the segment or increase the segment of the sphere. Then I apply this deformer, shrink wrap deformer on this sphere, and for target object I drag this cube on this target object. Now you can see this sphere is wrap around this cube. I can change the strength of this deformer to get the exact effect. This way you can modify object by using a shrink wrap option. Next deformer is spherify deformer. As the name suggests, is convert any object into the spherical shape. So I first create cylinder with some segment, and then after I apply a spherify deformer on that cylinder, you can see it's convert that cylinder into the spherical shape. So I can drag it like this, a radius, a strength of this option. You can convert it into the sphere like this. I can click on the fit to parent option and I can modify this spherify gizmo to change the object like this and modify like this, something like this. This is a use of spherify deformer inside Cinema 4D. Next deformer is surface deformer. We use normally this deformer to apply other object deformation on a second object. Next deformer is a Next deformer is surface deformer. We normally use surface to apply one object deformation to other object. So I show you how can we do that. First I create a sphere and I apply bulge deformer on the sphere. I change the strength of it. That's okay. Then after I create a cube and I move it a little bit back. Then I apply surface deformer on this cube. After clicking on this surface properties, you can see there's a surface option over there. I drag this sphere option from here to this surface option. But you can't see any changes in this cube because we have to click on this initialize option to see the result. Now you can see the cube is deforming like this bulge surface. So I can change the strength of this surface like this to get back to cube, or I can modify like this. Right now we're working on a projection type. I can change to mapping UV. So you can see it directly jump on that object. I can change the offset of it like this. I change the strength of it and I can modify the U and V property of the surface. Can go with another mapping type for other result like this, like this. You can change the scale to create this kind of effect, a dome kind of effect, or like this. This way you can use surface deformer. Next deformer is a wrap deformer. So what will I do? I just go and create a cylinder with some segment, and for wrapper I can create a plane. I change the orientation of it, I change the size of it around 100, by 100. I move it over here. I change the segment around 50 from height and width. Then I apply surface deformer on it. Sorry. Then I apply wrap deformer. Then I apply wrap deformer on it. See, I click on this wrap and drag it on the plane. You can see it's deforming according to the cylinder. I can say fit to parent, and I change the radius of this deformer. You can see it can wrap around it. Now you can see it can wrap around that cylinder. You can change the property of a plane like this. If you want to change movement, you can see I can create something like this by using this wrap option. You can change the tension and scale, G-scale of this deformer. This way you can use a wrap deformer. Next one is a spline deformer. For that I create a plane object with some more segment. I press F3 for a side view. Then I click over here. By using this linear option, I create one straight line from here to here. I press enter to finish it. Then after I create another curve by using the Bezier option like this. I press enter to finish it. Then I select the plane and press F1 to jump back to my perspective view. Now I create a spline deformer. Inside spline deformer property, I have to drag my original base straight spline. I have to drag this straight spline on this original spline option, and this curve spline on this modify spline option. I drag this plane. Next deformer is a spline deformer. For that I first create a plane with some more segment on it. Then after I press F3 for side view, and I create one straight spline, and then I create one curve spline by using a Bezier option. I press enter to finish it. I click on this plane and I press F1 to jump back to perspective view. Then I apply this spline deformer on this plane. I just drag this spline on this plane. Inside this spline option, for the original spline, I drag and drop this spline 1, my straight spline, and for modified spline, I drag and drop this spline 1 on this modified spline. You can see it's deform my plane according to my modified spline option. Anytime you can click on this spline option, go to point mode and modify your spline like this. Here inside this spline option, you can change the radius of it like this. You can change the length to more straight option. You can change the shape like this by this curve option. For a little more, for more smooth output, we can use this subdivision surface option, and I drag this plane inside this subdivision surface option. So you can see it's make that model more smooth than previous one, like this. So this is a spline option available, or spline deformer available inside Cinema 4D.